Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Italian Football Podcast. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima Tavali. On today's show, we will react to all of the latest transfer news, the latest PR own goal by the top Italian clubs, namely Juventus and Inter. Juventus, of course, meeting Donald Trump during the middle of a war in the Middle East. Great idea that was. We will analyse Juventus and Inter's first two matches in the Club World Cup with a show from Yildiz in particular. We will react to Italy's under-21's very controversial exit in the under-21 Euros, and we will also have our usual Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. For all of our first-time listeners, this is our free weekly episode that we do every Monday, reviewing the weekend Serie A action and all the biggest talking points in Italian football. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast and receive all of our content that we do throughout the week, including a weekly Q&A episode where we answer all the questions from our patrons, plus a weekly Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more, then go to patreon.com/TIFP and become subscribed for $3.99 a month plus VAT. And also you can be a paid subscriber on Spotify for the same price. You can watch us on YouTube. You can also become a patron on YouTube via YouTube memberships. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@itafutpod. For all of you who listen on all of our platforms, we'd really appreciate if you give us a 5-star rating, a follow, a like, subscribe to us, because when you do that, it really helps us to grow and do more quality content for you guys. Okay, let's get into today's show. So let's talk about the Club World Cup, which we haven't talked about yet since we did our interview with Christian Vieri 2 weeks ago. So far, there's been 2 matches played by both Juventus and Inter. Let's start with Inter, Nima. They draw their first game 1-1 with Monterrey, and then they beat Urawa Red Diamonds 2-1 with an injury time winner from Carboni. So how do you sum up what you've seen so far from Inter in this? What will be your main takeaways in terms of winners, losers, lessons? Let's start with winners. What have been the win? What's been good that's come out of this for Inter so far?
It has been Carboni. It's been nice to see Pio Esposito. It's been nice to see the these youngsters, Sucic and so on. Even though he's not played too much, I can't really draw too many conclusions from this tournament so far. I really do think it's more of a like a friendly tournament more than anything, but it's always interesting to see young players that that you haven't seen in this context. And it was nice to see Carboni score the winner, especially given the horrible injury he had. And if Kivu is going to continue playing this 3-4-2-1, then there is a spot for him. Inzaghi never played that system, and therefore there was no spot for him. Now, if in this system there actually is a spot for him, so it's kind of hard to draw too many conclusions from this. I don't really get too excited about this tournament. I don't really get too excited about anything of it. I just mainly look at this as kind of okay, well, where are they? How will it work? Which players are showing that they want to stay at Inter amongst the young players, and the same thing goes for Kivu. I mean, he's barely had any time to prepare. And it's he himself said that it was they prepared a little bit, they got their preparations wrong for the Urawa game. He wasn't expecting them to defend that deep, and so they had to adapt accordingly. But look, I don't take too much away from it. What
do you make of the new signings so far? Luis Enrique in particular, and Sucic maybe didn't play so much, but Luis Enrique, because he started one game, didn't he, and he came on in the other.
He was horrible. It was bad. I hope
against Urawa he was bad.
Yeah, I hope that is not a preview.
But I saw him getting praised for the first game though, like when he came.
Yeah, he was all right. He didn't do fantastically well. It wasn't anything special, but what we saw against Urava was, if that is a preview of things to come, then Inter have wasted another 20 million on another Dalbert. I mean, it was atrocious. But
Sucic,
I don't want to. Sucic, I like. Sucic, I think he's going to be, especially if Inter play a 3-4-2-1, given that he's so dynamic and he runs so much. I think he's going to be very useful. He's a very intelligent player. He's a two-way box-to-box midfielder. He can do a lot of things. He covers a lot of ground. There's a lot of football in him. So I'm very encouraged from what I've seen from him, and also before he joined Inter. But I do think that we need to wait. I still this tournament for me is a write-off. I just want, this is a way for them to kind of get acquainted with Kivu, with his system. The new players get acquainted with the environment, and then have a break, have the preseason, and then get into the next season.
And just want to ask you about Pio Esposito, because he came on in the second game for his Inter debut, believe it or not. What anything? Did you see anything from?
Yes, he is. He's still very unpolished. He's a diamond in the rough. But the fact that he got the assist for Carboni's winner, he is a presence. He's a physical presence in the area. When you're playing against teams that defend that deep, you have a guy of his size and his strength and his ability to hold up the ball and his ability to sniff goals. That will come really useful. I really like the kid. I think this is, I've been saying on this pod on Twitter for many years, for a couple of years now. This is the kid. This is a striker. This is a player, one of the few young players, the youth players to come up that I'm actually excited about. I think he's got something special, and I think Inter need to treat, and will treat him with care. I don't want him to come to Inter and sit on Inter's bench for 12 months. I'd rather they loan him out so he plays regularly in the Serie A, because I think there is something there. But he showed that again, that he is special. He has that extra. He has that, I don't know he's got something special about his game, and he needs to be, if he's nurtured, then Italy could potentially have a superstar on their hands. He really is special.
Yeah, let's hope so for Italy's sake. Let's talk. Okay, Juventus. Let me go through Juventus. So they won 5-0 against Al-Ain in their opening game. They beat Wydad Casablanca 4-1 in their second game. Like you said, it's difficult to read too much. Also because the opposition is so weak, especially Al-Ain. Really, really, really just not at this level at all. And that's obviously a criticism of this Club World Cup, that there are quite a few of these kind of teams. I think Auckland, how many goals have Auckland conceded in this tournament so far? Is it like 16 goals in 2 games or something like that? So yeah, when you're playing against teams of this level, is you can't read too much. But I think that we saw Yildiz in that game against Casablanca. I mean, you call it a hat trick. Let's say 2.5 goals. Let's say he didn't actually get credited with the first goal, but the second goal, I mean, just look at that on the half volley as it's hitting the floor, which is one of the hardest skills in football to shoot, as the ball is hitting the floor on the literal half volley. Just magical into the top corner. And then the coolness of the second goal to come inside and place it, snooker shot it into the corner. Yeah, we've seen like what a special talent this guy is, and I think that if everything goes well with the team, this could be the season where we see a real breakout of Yildiz in leading Juventus to something. Juventus fans will hope to a Scudetto, but to something special. So we saw the quality of him. I thought that we've also seen, and this is probably the biggest lesson for Juventus. So in the first game, not so much the second game, but we've certainly seen so far why Juventus have to retain both Conceição and Colomboani. They have to just pay the 30 million for Conceição. That's a bargain at this level for someone of the qualities that he has and the ceiling that he has to grow. Right, there is a high ceiling with Conceição. he has qualities which few have to be able to beat his man. I love his mentality. He's fearless. He wants the ball. He can lose the ball 4 times in a row, but he'll always want it again. He's not somebody that hides away. Like, when the going gets tough, when you go behind, he stands up, and that's something that we've seen with Juventus, certainly under Motta. That as soon as the end of the first sign of difficulty, they all scared. They're all scared to. Definitely, I would sign him. And Colin Moani, given the struggles for all teams to find a striker, we're seeing other teams, not just in Italy, but elsewhere. I think you make that deal, and they need to hurry up with that deal because there are Premier League teams, Chelsea, Man United, started to sniff around. Juventus have the advantage because he wants Juventus. He likes Juventus. He's happy. He wants to stay. World Cup year. It provides him guarantees where we know kind of his level that he showed so far at Juventus. So they need to get those 2 deals done. That's absolutely certain. So I think those are the kind of like the positives. And as for the negatives, there's one big fat negative, and that is our friend Lord Kelly, who even against Al Ain and against Wydad Casablanca, he struggled. He was horrendous against Casablanca. Some of his positioning, not keeping the defensive line, at blame for their goal. Struggling against the Amrabat. How old is Amrabat now? The old Amrabat. I think he's like pushing on 40 now. He was struggling. He was really struggling, and he's for a Juventus team that wants to try and move forward and have aspirations of at least challenging for the Scudetto, they can't go into the season with him being a starter, and I would say even as a backup player. So I think Juventus have to try and sell him. They have to try and sell him. Good luck trying to not make a loss on him, but they have to sell Kelly. He's proven in these 2 games that even against this level of opposition, he's a weak link. Also, so they need to sign a centre-back, I think, a left-sided centre-back. I know Bremer will probably come back. Hopefully he'll be back at his best, but he's a centre-back. And Kalulu at right centre-back. So then you need a left centre-back as well. So they need to go out and sign a left centre-back, I think, Juventus, in addition to that, obviously, that striker that they need. And also set pieces. They need to sort out set pieces because they're still looking vulnerable from set pieces. And that needs to be really one of the main focuses of, let's say, pre-season training. When is pre-season training? I don't know. This have we already started pre-season? I don't even know how the Italian teams are going to do it. Like, are they going to take a break after this Club World Cup, Juventus and Inter, or are they just going to go straight into the? No,
they have to take a break. I mean, depends on where they go, and that's kind of what I'm hoping from an Inter perspective, that Inter exit the group stage, because if they do, then at least they can have a normal pre-season. Because this can't carry over to next season with a coach that is so inexperienced, with a backroom staff that's inexperienced. It can really spiral out of control there. I know that Marotta and Oak Tree care about because it's a lot of prize money, but at the end of the day, this is a situation that Inter need to focus on next season. That's far more important than this. And with everything that's happened, they need some time off. They need some time to regroup. They need some time to start rebuilding and prepare the preseason and the season, because it's a World Cup season. It's going to be intense. Like it's going to be games all the time again. Not as bad as this last season, but it's not far off.
Yeah, no, it is. You're right about the financial side of things, because it is. The clubs see that money dangling in front of them, that carrot dangling in front of them. But they don't see that behind the carrot there's a stick that's going to beat them, So when you're getting €2 million per win, I think it's €7 million to qualify for the knockouts. It goes last 16, goes straight to last 16. I'm not sure how much it is for each knockout round win, but I know it's a lot of money. So it is a lot of money. Juventus already, because they're virtually through now. There's no way they can go out. They'd have to lose about 8-0, and to go out. And no, they are through but they're 6-6. Yeah, so Juventus are through. So Juventus have already earned 2, 4 plus 7. They've already earned €11 million from this tournament already, which for Juventus is a lot of money, considering with the situation they're in. So Juventus are thinking, well, we can beat Man City. That's 13. If we can win our last 16 game, we're pushing up 15, 20 million. I mean, it's a lot of, it's a lot of money if you go further. So I think that, there's money just for participating already. And, so there's a lot of money at stake, but then there's the knock-on effect of that next season. So it's a difficult one. Let's move on to this is incredible, really. This is something that we've been talking about since we started this pod, about me in particular, about the marketing, how clueless Italians are with marketing. We've talked about TV rights, we've talked about everything commercially that Italian clubs are doing, social media, just how they sell themselves to the world. I think that we saw over the last week, Nima, pretty much like as bad as it's been in the last years for Italian clubs, just how tone deaf Italian clubs are. So we don't want to make this political. Everybody knows what's going on in the Middle East right now. That there is there is a war, and there's a very real threat of a devastating regional war, and even worse, even much worse. So while this is going on, and America's involvement that we know, why the hell are Juventus going to meet Donald Trump during this period? And not only that, you have the Juventus squad meeting him, standing behind him, posing for photos, while Donald Trump is fielding questions about whether he's going to bomb Iran. I mean, it is the biggest PR own goal I've ever seen. I was just flabbergasted.
Did you see what Tim Weah said? He's like, I didn't want to stand there because, like, I'm a football player. I don't want to. This has got nothing to do with me. And I understand, and that to me is them meeting the president or whatever. That's part and parcel of every. It happens whenever you have an international tournament. Politicians want a bit of that shine. It happens everywhere. That's just normal. But the press conference with the Juventus squad standing behind him as he's answering questions about essentially what could escalate into a nuclear conflict is absurd. And it's unfair to the players, and it's unfair to everyone standing there, and it's who had nothing to do with this. And like I said, just go and listen to what Tim Weah said. He was really annoyed. He's like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm a football player. I'm not, And it goes back to what we're saying on the Q&A last week, that this notion of politicizing everything that isn't political is exhausting. Whether it's musicians, whether it's sports stars, actors, whatever, it's actually quite exhausting. And it was a PR own goal for sure.
My issue here, Nima, is like you said, you're absolutely right. You can't avoid the fact that politicians, since time has began, use sport for their advantage.
Music,
we know that. But in sport, in football, we go back to the Berlin Olympics, go back to Mussolini in the 1934, go back to the beginning of the World Cup. This is always 1978 with Argentina. This happens over and over again, especially with unpopular leaders. They try and bask in the glory or use sport for their advantage, right? So, and it's very difficult for teams to avoid being part of that. So there's that's not the issue. The issue here is the decision making of having this meet and greet at a time with everything that's going on right now. It's the timing. That's the issue here. It's insane. Like I said, this is nothing about being political, having taken sides or anything. That's another issue altogether, which we could talk about. But it's the timing of especially given the fact that right now, if you've got any brains, you realize that Trump is, for the decision that he's now made, and already by that stage it was clear where his bread was buttered, that you've got the Arab world, the Muslim world, who obviously would absolutely hate Trump's guts because of what decision he's made. So you're alienating a very, very large section of your fan base by meeting with Trump during this time. You know, forget about that Trump divides people in America, and you're in America. Forget about that. That's almost irrelevant at this stage. It's that you're alienating a whole big section of your fan base by doing this.
It's unnecessary.
It's
very unnecessary. It's very unnecessary, but
well, have you seen the comments from Juventus fans?
Yeah,
like
I'm not surprised. I'm not
some of the
surprised.
comments from Juventus fans are, "This club is dead to me." You know, because they're they're disgusted that during what's going on during a war with the decision Trump's made. So you've just got to, again, this is not about politics. This is just using your brain. It's just common sense, logic.
You stay out of it. Why make yourself a party in this when you don't need to? Like, again, Juventus are a football club, are they not? Do you see what I'm saying? Do Juventus play football, or are they part of the NATO alliance, the military wing of the football? I mean, it becomes an absurd.
And the most worrying thing of all is that John Elkann, clearly this was okayed by John Elkann. This was okay. This was his initiative because he knows I think he's close to Trump, and he was there, so he was part of it. He's right there in the background. So this has come right from the top. This isn't just some own goal that some chief of marketing made a mistake and then the top were, this has come from him. So this is the top guy at the club that's supposed to be the smartest man at Juventus, supposed to be, apparently. But that extends to, again, when I'm talking about common sense and using your brains, this extends to Inter as well, because Inter do a special collaboration video with, again, actually, I think this actually might have happened after Iran got bombed. I'm not sure, but it was, anyway, doesn't matter when. It was, I think it was Saturday or Friday or Saturday. Anyway, so Inter do a special collab video with probably the most hated Palestinian in the world. Would it be fair to call him that?
Yeah, I think so.
DJ Khaled, who is seen by every Arab as basically a traitor to his people. Inter do a collaboration video, plaster it all over their social media. And I'm just thinking, do these guys not have any brains that they're literally alienating their entire Arab audience during the middle of a war in the Middle East? It's unnecessary. I just can't believe it.
I think when it comes, I think it's a lot of it is incompetence, and I think a lot of it is just not understanding what they're doing and the optics of it. And I think it's many times with the Serie A clubs, not just Serie A clubs, but the Serie A itself. They don't understand the optics. They don't understand. Again, this is a league that decided to do an anti-racism campaign by painting chimpanzees in the clubs of in the colors of all clubs. I mean, I don't. When that's the bar, everything else just kind of makes sense, doesn't it? They don't get it. Or when Cagliari posted that photo of Anne Frank in a Cagliari shirt. I'm not making this up. It's there.
You couldn't make it up.
Yeah,
you couldn't make it up.
This is the level of understanding. It's still in Italy, amongst these people in charge of the Serie A and these clubs, the marketing. It's still 1993. The time stopped the clock stopped in 1993, and they still go about it business that way. And that's why they do these insane own goals over and over and over again. And at the same time, it's hilarious because when you criticize Juventus, and I'm sure a lot of people when they see this will criticize us, but frankly, I don't give a fuck. Pardon my French.
Why should they criticize us?
No, listen, they'll say, well, it's that's what I was going to get to. Oh, but you don't turn sports political. We're not the ones doing it. We're reacting to the ones who did. You idiot. That's the response.
No.
If you don't want to politicize sports, don't politicize sports. This is what we're saying. You can't have it one way or another. It's one way. You can't eat your cake and have it too. You need to, the point is, stay out of these things. There's no need for you to get involved. It's like that idiot David Guetta who thinks he solved racism by standing on a rooftop, giving a shout out to George Floyd whilst, now listen to this beat. Chicka, chicka, chicka. It's insane. Shut up.
Listen, I'm not naive to think that. I know that politics and football will always mix, right? And I actually think that in certain situations, football because of the power of football, can be used for good in politics in the world, right? And we've seen that in the last 2 years, for sure. Well, not that it's made much of an impact, but you've seen how people have at least tried, So I don't have a problem. I think it's unavoidable. My issue here is I'm coming at this purely from a commercial marketing point of view. That's all I'm coming into, because everybody that listens to our show knows I've been the biggest critic ever, or than anyone, when it comes to how badly the league is marketed. So this is purely, I'm only coming from this point of view, and I just think that making these decisions, both Juventus and Inter, to do these kind of things while a war is going on, a devastating war, and alienating a whole large section of your fan base by doing this, that's my issue. It's really got not very little to do with politics. Actually, it just happens to be this is about politics. So it's just it's mad. It's mad, and this is why.
This is what I mean. The tone deafness and the fact that they think they can do something and they can't. Just stay out of it. You don't need not everything needs a reaction. You don't need to get involved in everything. You can just stay out of it. Just be quiet. You don't need to actively do anything. It's easier not to do anything than to do something and make things worse and just put yourself in a position where you don't need to be in to begin with. This is my point. Stay out of it.
And the worrying thing is
you to get involved.
And the worrying thing is that people from the league, and I know that some of them are aware of our criticism on this show, because I've been told that they won't even get this. They'll be watching this now and just thinking, "What's the problem? Why are they getting so dramatic about this? Because they just don't get it."
Stopped in 1992 with them. It's still 1991 and 1992 with them. It's not. They're stuck in 1991, and the thinking of marketing back in 1991, the how you view PR and marketing and stuff like that, it's they don't get it. They just don't get it, and they won't until they're replaced. It's just that simple. Because it doesn't work. The only thing that does because we live in such the times that we live in, where things have been so politicized one way or another, regardless of where you stand on it, people are fed up. They're exhausted with it. It doesn't bite. That kind of stuff just doesn't bite. It just pisses people off. It pisses off your own fan base. It turns people off, and it's unnecessary. Because what have you solved? Have you achieved anything with your involvement? No. You've just alienated people. You've just pissed people off. You've just pissed people off, and people who could potentially like your league and your club. And it's just stupid and unnecessary and childish, frankly. Childish.
And then when Trump is asking about the women playing in your football team, you then get mocked as well on top of it.
I mean, not only that, was it Comoli who said, we actually have a women's team trying to save the situation? It was so embarrassing. Like, it was just the whole thing was so cringe. Do you have women? Would you let women?
I actually think that was the best he could do in that situation.
What was he supposed to do?
No, I can't criticize him. He was put in
I'm not criticizing him.
He was I know. He was put in an impossible situation. Everybody else just ignored Trump. It was just like,
what was he supposed to do? He has to say something, because he's also in charge of the women's team. Like, I think they won the Scudetto again, didn't they? Like, it's embarrassing for everyone involved. Like, it's just it was so cringe. The whole thing was just so badly handled and unnecessary too. It was just unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Can't sell life jackets on the Titanic. That's Italian football. Right. Well, what it leads to is what we saw with an update with the TV rights last week, where it was announced that MENA, Middle East and North Africa, and they did well to do this before what happened in the Middle East. They managed to do this deal before that. They announced a new deal with beIN Sports for the Premier League. 215 million euros a year for 3 years. This is just for MENA, for Middle East and North Africa, that is, which is fantastic work. So they're still continuing to break records for the Premier League for increasing their revenue around the world. So 215 million for the Middle East alone with beIN. Italy,
a year, right?
A year, yeah, for a 3 year deal. So 215 million a year in MENA alone.
That's 645 million euros for 3 years.
Yes. Italy earns 240 a year for foreign TV rights in the entire world. In the entire world.
And then people
So
wonder why, in comparison to the Premier League, the Serie A clubs can't compete. Why when faced against state-owned clubs, Italian clubs can't compete. If you're okay with this, then you have to be okay with the outcome. It's not harder than that. If you're okay with the Serie A being this dismally run, marketed, sold in a global stage, if you're okay with that, you have zero right to complain when the clubs are feeder clubs and fail to make their presence felt in Europe. I'm sorry, it's not harder than that.
No, yeah. That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. I mean, obviously, there's different,
and that's why we are critical. Here's the thing: I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, you bash the league." No, we don't bash the league. We bash the incompetence because we want the league to do well, and it's not doing well. It makes own goal after own goal after own goal, and it can't. The numbers aren't. The numbers are there.
Well, look, here's the numbers. Let me tell you the bigger numbers, Nima. So, foreign and domestic TV revenue combined for the next 3 years, right? Premier League, 14.32 billion. Let me read that out. 14.32 billion. Serie A, 3.6 billion. 14.6 billion Premier League, 3.6 billion Serie A. How can you possibly
4 times as much over 3 years?
Yeah. How can you possibly compete?
You can't.
And it's growing. It's growing and growing. Then the Serie A numbers go down, the Premier League numbers go up. And yes, I think at some point the bubble will burst a little bit with the Premier League, and that number will come. The number it'll probably come down, I think, as well. But the gap is so big. It's just ridiculous. And again, just echo what you said. This is why we criticize.
This is why we criticize them. It's not because we think it's fun. It's not because we're trying to be edgy or anything stupid like that. These are numbers, and numbers are fact. They're not about opinion, and they're not about feelings. These numbers are you can't deny them. These are facts. And this is why we criticize the league, because we don't think they're doing a good enough job. And if you're happy with these results, then that's a different discussion altogether. If you think this is doing a good job, well, then we have a fundamental disagreement as to what constitutes a good job.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But
Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's talk about, before we come to transfers, let's talk about Italy under-21s who were part of an absolutely insane game against Germany under-21s in the Euro under-21 Championship. So Italy 1-2 and drew 1 in their group, became runners-up, and played Germany on Sunday evening in Slovakia, quarter-final. Italy took the lead through Koleosho, but then Germany came back to equalise, and then at 1-1, the Gnonto got sent off for 2 yellow cards, which we'll come on to in a minute. Germany scored to go 2-1 up. Zanotti lost his head, got a red card, 9 men, and then with the last kick of the game, deep into injury time, Ambrosino scored a free kick. Italy's 9 men took it to extra time. So heroic from Italy. And then in extra time, Italy were doing great. Germany basically didn't create a single chance until 3 minutes from the end of extra time. They scored just a shot out of nowhere from outside the area, and Germany won. And Italy went out with 9 men. So they very, very nearly took it to penalties. So heartbreaking for Italy. I think few things I want to say about this. First of all, the ref was disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. One of the worst refereeing performances against an Italy team, and there's been many that I've ever seen. He's rightfully been hammered by the Italian media and the players, and the manager, Nunziata, was very critical of him as well, saying he decided the game, ruined the game. 9 yellows he gave to Italy in this match. And the red card I thought was a disgrace. I mean, he barely even touches him on both of them, both yellows, to be honest with you. So that's number one. Number two, you have to praise the players. Like, we talk about the lack of heart and soul and desire of the senior team. I mean, they showed it with 9 men to be so brave and to almost take it to penalties against the Germany team, who were the favourites. And Italy were the better team in this game until the 9 men, until the sending offs. They were the better team, and I think they were also let down by their manager, because at 1-0 Italy were winning, they were in control of the game, and he went back to kind of the old school, kind of just holding on to the lead, and then Germany scored off a set piece, and that's where they kind of, and then it all kind of went wrong from there. So yeah, a very eventful game. It's a shame. It's a shame Italy lost.
Yeah, there's not much to say. I thought it was a beautiful goal by Koleosho, that first one. I thought it was really, really nice. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was a very exciting game. I feel bad for Italy going out, but I don't know. Somehow it feels like Nunziata, some of the decision making that he made was.
Yeah, taking off. I should have added on that. Taking off Koleosho, who was the best player on the pitch, at 1-1. Was it 1-1 or 1-0? I can't remember. But anyway, he took him off. Taking off Koleosho made no sense at all. Why take off your best player? Because it was clearly a pre-planned change. But managers have to change. You've got like I know Inzaghi's kind of been criticised for this in the past, hasn't he? Like, Inzaghi's one of those coaches that kind of, he has in his mind, right, these are the subs I'm going to make before the match starts. But sometimes you've got to change. Like, you've got
to adapt to the reality. Yeah,
exactly. If one of the players you plan to take off is the best player on the pitch, you don't take him off. I don't care if he's a little bit tired or if he generally tires after that. If he's the best player on the pitch, you keep him on. So that didn't make much sense. But in terms of positives, I don't think this is a very good Italy under-21 generation. I have to be honest with you. But there is one that was absolutely outstanding. He maybe should have done better on the first Germany goal, but Coppola was a monster. And this guy looks like he's going to be a top player. And it just hammers home what we said last week. How the hell did Serie A clubs allow this guy to leave the league for 10 million euros? It's just unacceptable. I mean, this guy physically is a monster. He's aggressive. He seems pretty quick. He puts himself about. He reads the game really well. He's got a good mentality. He's obviously excellent in the air. I think Brighton. I think he's going to do well at Brighton. Looks like he's got the attributes of the Premier League. That's a positive for Italy, though, in terms of the Italy national team going forward. Gattuso was there as well with Buffon. I think he would have liked what he saw from Coppola.
Agreed.
Should we move to club matters? I mean, listen, the transfer market right now is the last week since we had Alfredo Pedula on the pod. If you haven't listened to that or watched that, go back a week. We had him for just over 20 minutes. Unfortunately, we only were able to really talk about Napoli, Inter Milan, and Juventus. And
we're going to talk about the Lazio and Roma next time we have him on, because we kind of will have him on again.
And even Juventus, Inter Milan, we would have liked to have gone into more detail, but we didn't have enough time. So we are now going to start doing those, what we usually do, which is the club by club transfer journalists being brought onto the show to talk about in depth about the clubs, where we'll have 30 minutes or so at least on each club, where we'll go into all the details of players that can come in and come out. So that is to come. But yeah, in the last week since we had Pedula, there hasn't been that much in terms of real concrete changes. So we won't speak for too long on this, but there's a few kind of key talking points I want to discuss. First of all, Napoli. So Napoli, as Pedula told us, they're going to sign 2 wingers. Bandoi from Bologna is their first target. They're in talks with them. So they're hoping to make him be the kind of like first winger signing. But even if they get him, they'll definitely sign another winger, and they've got a number of wingers that they're kind of in talks with. Chiesa, Sancho. There's Noah Lang as well, I think, has come back on the radar. There's even Garnacho, who they could potentially still return to. So there's a number of names, and then they'll see which one comes in. But what I want to ask is this: Chiesa and Sancho in particular. Do you think Conte can? Let's start off with Chiesa. Do you think Conte can resurrect Chiesa?
Not as a winger. I'm sorry. I just don't think he's got what it takes physically to succeed as a wide player, Federico Chiesa. I don't think it's about Conte. I think it's about the fact that he's lost the explosiveness and the pace needed to play in that position. I still think technically he's a very good player. That won't have disappeared. His shot is still good. He's good in the air. All the things that were good about him, he's still got, except for the speed and the explosive nature of his runs. If you remember, he was like a heat-seeking missile. He would go like that, and you couldn't stop him. But he doesn't have that anymore. And I don't think Conte can do much to change that, unless Napoli are going to continue playing as a counter-attacking team. Then yes, maybe he can be a weapon in that aspect. But even then, I don't really think we're going to see the Federico Chiesa that we could have seen. So I'm very skeptical of that signing.
I'm interested to see if it happens, though, because Chiesa is somebody that Conte loved. He tried to sign him for Inter when Juventus bought him, but he even tried to sign him last summer as well, before he went to, they looked at it, Napoli, before he went to Liverpool. So this is somebody that Conte clearly feels like, he looks at players and he thinks, right, are they my kind of player? Can I do something with them? And we've seen him resurrect a lot of players. So I'm very intrigued to see. What I would say is I hope it happens, because Italy we know Italy just don't have quality in attack, especially in the outside wingers. And if Gattuso, is he going to play this? He potentially could play a winger system now, or at least that be one of his systems. So we need wingers. Well, we don't have many at all. We don't have any. And Chiesa, clearly, even if he's at 80% or 70% of what he was, he's probably 30% right now, or 20% of what he was. Even if Conte can get that up to 60% or 70%, he'll still be the best winger we've got. So I hope it happens, and I hope Conte can do another resurrection of a player. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens. Sancho, though, can he resurrect him to his?
I think
Portland?
So. I think so. I think he's the kind of player that could work very well for Conte, given the characteristics he's got. I think that would be a more intelligent signing for Napoli at this point, rather than Chiesa. Chiesa also depends on how expensive will he be, how much will his wages be. It depends on the sum as well. Is it a risk worth taking as a rotation player? Because you need to have squad players as well. You need to have, you can't just have 11 players, especially if you're going to compete on three fronts in the Coppa Italia, or it's four fronts. It's the Coppa Italia, it's the Supercoppa, it's the Serie A, and the Champions League for Napoli. So they need a deeper squad. They didn't have much depth at all last season, but then again, they were only competing on one front. This season, they're competing on four. So they're going to need depth. But for me, I think Jadon Sancho is more someone I would spend bigger money on than I would on Federico Chiesa, if that makes sense, given where he is in his career.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about another resurrection. Dusan Vlahovic, can he be resurrected at Milan? We know that Milan are searching for a striker. We know that Allegri wants Vlahovic. Juventus will accept probably around about 25 million euros. That's where it's got to now, which Milan are prepared to pay. That's what I think Pedula has been saying as well. Vlahovic would like to join Milan as well. He's rejected Fenerbahce. He's rejected Saudi Arabia so far. So it looks like that there is preferred choice. The issue, of course, as we know, is the salaries on 12 million euros a season. What we're seeing is Milan maybe won't offer more than 7 at the moment. Vlahovic probably won't go below 10. That's kind of where we're at. So the salary is an issue, of course. But let's say if it happens, obviously it's a difficult deal to make. If it happens, can he be the right man? Is this a good signing for Milan? Can it work? Can it resurrect Vlahovic? What do you think?
What is the formation? Is it a two-man attack? Then yes, maybe there is a chance that it could work. Is it and Allegri plays counter-attacking football, which means that Vlahovic will have space to attack. Yes, then it could work. But if you're going to play as a prima punta and a one-man, I'm very skeptical then. Very skeptical.
Yeah, we don't know the system, do we? We don't know the system yet.
And I think that's the key here. I think that's the key here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. If Leao stays, you would assume you're going to play a winger system.
Yeah,
if Leao stays.
Yeah.
In which case, what? Then he's one up front.
And then, then you can make the argument. Okay, well, Vlahovic and Leao playing off of one another, but then again,
do you see Leao as a forward? I don't see him as a centre forward.
No, and do you see? And when has Vlahovic ever been able to play with his back against the goal? That's been the problem all along at Juve. He can't do that. He can't put others into play. Why would he suddenly succeed at Milan now? I mean, it is a risk. So I think it's
my take on this is very, very simplistic. My take is this: Vlahovic failed with Allegri at Juventus. So why would he succeed with Allegri at Milan? Simple. I see no reason why.
Well, I think it matters because I think the environment matters. I think the environment at Juve was so toxic when he joined, and he never really got going, and the fans started hating him. And so, I mean, I see your point, but I think it's kind of different. But for me, the key here is what's the system? How is he supposed to play? Where is he supposed to be utilized? If he's going to play a counter-attacking system with a two-man attack, I think Vlahovic could be useful. But if you're going to play, with a one-man attack, and Vlahovic to play with his back against the goal and do like Lukaku and put others into play, that's not going to work or I don't think it's going to work because it hasn't worked so far, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see it a little bit. And
yeah, no, that's fair enough. Inter, Bonny, it looks like this is getting very close. This week could be a big week in almost getting this over the line. Are you happy? We're talking around 25 million euros, probably, maybe just under.
It's he's an interesting player. I mean, FC Internews interviewed one of his Sebastian Dubroca, who is a former coach of his at youth team level, and he likened him to Thuram in the sense that he's very technical, he's very athletic, he's very quick, he's physical. And he's very mature. He said he's very, he spoke about him being some sort of a player with a good head on his shoulder, and that he listens and takes on criticism, and he's and he has everything in. He's able and capable to overcome, problems that stand in his way with maturity and growth and hard work, which is a good thing. But I know this is kind of relevant to that, but if they're signing this guy for 25 million, my feeling is that then they'll sell Thuram, because I don't see a situation where they sign Højlund and Bonny and Lautaro and Thuram stay, and these guys they're going to sit on the bench. They're going to be backup players. I know there's a lot of games coming in, but I just don't see that as I don't think that's a very logical way to do things, at least not based on how it's been sounding. So I don't know. I really don't know. I think for me, if Bonny is signed, then I kind of expect Thuram to be sold. But we'll have to wait and see. As for the player himself, he's been good. He's been a player that Inter have been linked with for a long, long time. So there is that. It's got nothing to do with Kivu coming in. I want to make that absolutely clear. Bonny's been a player that Inter have been linked with for 6 months, even when Inzaghi was there. And so this is a continuation of that. So that they're not. This isn't a reactive move. They've This is someone they've been scouting for a long time. This is someone they want. Same with Luis Enrique. Same with Sucic. So that's a good thing. They in the sense that they're not changing their plans. They've got a clear structure of how they want to go about things, and they're bringing players to adapt to that reality, and materialize their plans. So, but whether or not this is again, he's not an established player. Marcus Thuram was far more established when he joined Inter than Bonny is at Parma. This is now clearly a reboot, an Inter that is going into rebuild mode, and so people should understand and expect not to compete or not to win the Serie A next season or to go far in the Champions League or anything like that. I just think it's important to be honest with fans about these things, regardless of what Marotta says.
Yeah, we'll see how things shape up at Inter. We'll also see how things shape up at Roma. So just very quickly on the new Roma and the new Lazio and the new Fiorentina before we finish off with Baggio Premface, the Serie ASS of the week. So Roma, first of all, Gasperini as new coach, Ranieri as chief advisor, Masada has been brought in now as sporting director. So pretty solid backbone, I think.
That's a good structure
in terms of experience and know-how and competence as well. Now they're starting to get moving on the transfer market. I mean, I think Paredes, Shomurodov, Saud are all going to be sold. They're going to sign a centre-back. They're in talks for Lukumi from Bologna. They're looking for a midfielder. O'Reilly seems to be Gasperini's favourite player from Brighton. He tried to sign him for Atalanta. Ange-Yann from Empoli as well is a player that he likes. And they're looking for an attacker as well. Scamacca, Raspadori, Goodmanson, these players are kind of on their short list. And they're looking for a right wing back, which I think is an obvious area that they need to improve. Wesley from Flamengo is a target. So yeah, it's still early days. They need to make sure they keep their players as well. I know Ndiko is very much liked from the Premier League, so they need to keep hold of him. What do you think of the new Roma? How it's shaped?
I like it. I really like it. This is a solid backbone. This is a solid project. It's starting to land a little bit into something that can actually be interesting already in its first season. We know that Gasperini, how he plays, and if they can give him the players to play that system, they will benefit a lot from it. And I like the ideas. It's starting to crystallize itself, and it's looking very solid. I think someone like Scamacca would be very good for Roma because of the type of player he is. But of course, the question mark with his ACL, and Roma have had quite a few ACLs through the years, so maybe that is a warning sign.
And keep his dad away from the training ground as well.
And his granddad. But
his granddad was his granddad. What his granddad do?
His granddad attacked with a hammer as well, I think.
I didn't know that.
Granddad is just as crazy as the dad.
His dad smashed up the bonsai tree, and his granddad as well.
No, it's yeah. But it's his ACL. He has ACL. He's got recovering from an ACL, and Roma have had problems with ACLs. That's a bit of a that's a bit of a red flag.
That is a bit of a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Yeah. So I am a little bit worried there. But they do need someone like him. Raspadori is Goodmanson. These are all good names, solid names, which I think will work. I wonder what happens with Dybala. But then again, we've seen Gasperini work with players like that when he had Papu Gomez, so I'm not too worried about that. I think Roma are going to be really exciting to watch. Maybe not as solid, or maybe not as stable as they were under Ranieri, but they're going to be exciting to watch, and they're going to cause teams problems in attack. Their defense.
Yeah, I want to see what their transfer market is so far, but certainly before I make a conclusion, but certainly the backbone is excellent.
Masada is a great.
Masada is someone that Juventus needed a
sporting director.
Yeah, Juventus need a sporting director. Still don't have one, which is ridiculous. We're now pushing on to July. Juventus don't have a sporting director. I mean, it's just shambolic. Masada. Why didn't they go in for Masada? I don't know. I mean, especially if you're trying to create a more Italian identity as well. I mean, it looks like they're going for they've got their eyes on foreign sporting directors, somebody that knows the league like no other. I mean, I don't know why Juve didn't go for him, but for Roma, certainly, he knows the club as well from before. I mean, I like that. Just a side note though, Bologna, it's happening again, isn't it? It's happening again. They lost half their team last summer and Motta, and we were kind of excited about them winning the Coppa Italia, being in the UEFA, Europa League, and we're thinking, right, this is the right level. We don't want them in the Champions League. Just, and we thought they had a chance of keeping their players. I did think Ndoye was going to be hard to keep, though, I have to be honest. But the others, I thought the others, they got a chance of keeping them. But now, Ndoye, Bokema is in talks for Napoli as well, and he's their top target for the defence. And Lusumi now with Roma, and I think he has quite a low release clause as well. Lusumi, I think it's around it's under 30 million, and I think there is a deadline though on that. So they lose those three.
But at least they keep their
as well. I mean,
but at least they keep their coach. And Fabian is not maybe perhaps the most exciting player. Like, that's not too bad. But I do think that
it's another rebuild. That's the point.
Yeah, but then again, Sartori's done it again. But yeah, it is gutting. I was kind of looking forward to see what Italiano could do if he could keep his players. We'll see what they have to do. We see what they do at the end of the market, where they stand, which players they've signed, which players they've lost. But yeah, it is gutting. It feels bad because the Vincenzo Italiano Bologna project was very exciting for a few months there. They were the best team in the Serie A. I thought they were outstanding. The football they played in both phases was just brilliant. Around January, February there, March. And they did win a title, which is very impressive. But yeah, it's a bit gutting. It is, for those of us who want all these teams to do well, and to watch them get gutted like that again. But equally, Sartori is competent, and he's done it before. He's done it at Atalanta for many years. He's done it throughout his entire career, and now we'll see what he can do at Bologna. But let's wait before we see that. But yeah, I agree with you. The first indications are negative. Yeah, it's not nice. Yeah.
New Lazio, early days for them, of course, in their market. They've got Maurizio Sarri back. I think they need to make some sales first. It's that whole liquidity issue that seems to be only with Lazio every single year, and I still don't quite understand it fully. It's just we see this every single summer with Lazio. They need to make some sales for that reason. I think Noslin, Trawana probably on their way out. Nuno Tavares is still wanted by Al Hilal, and there is interest in Gila as well. So they have to kind of make sure they keep those two big names. They're going to go big on a new central midfielder. I think that's for sure. Loftus-Cheek, Chris Rigg, Giovanni Fabian, these kind of players have been linked. They will sign an outside winger for Sarri. So we're looking at Ruben van Bommel, the Dutch son of Mark van Bommel. He's an exciting young player. He's been linked. Nico Gonzalez from Juventus as well. And Sarri would, I think, like a centre forward. He doesn't seem to be quite sure on Castellanos, who, from what we're hearing, he wants to win him over. Raspadori is a player who on the Laziali, they're saying, is a player that Sarri believes he can turn into like a new Mertens. His new Mertens as this kind of false nine. But Pedula says that Raspadori wants to stay at Napoli. He wants to prove that he's good enough again at Napoli. So fair play. And then the centre back, I think they'll sign a centre back. There's Ismaili, there's Charlie Cresswell from Toulouse. So that's what we're looking at. And also finally, the Mandas, the goalkeeper, is wanted by Wolves, and Lazio have set a 30 million price tag for him and said, look, any team that wants him will have to pay that amount. So that's Lazio. Again, early days in the market is difficult.
Yeah, and we will be doing, like I said, we will be doing a proper deep dive about all these clubs and how they ended up.
It's just too early to say anything, really. I mean,
and also this Club World Cup kind of put us through a spanner in the works, didn't it? It's like it's kind of divided up the transfer window as well.
Yeah, it has. finally, just a quick one on Fiorentina. Pioli in. We have to see kind of what happens with Goodmanson and Keane. It looks like Goodmanson, Fiorentina don't want to pay the clause, and they want to try and reduce the fee on the clause. I think it's about 17 million. They're trying to reduce that by quite substantially to like 12 or something like that. So that deal is in danger of falling through. And Keane, we know, is wanted by big clubs, Premier League, Man United, I think, are looking at him as well now. So yeah, we have to see whether those two stay first. Dzeko's already been signed. They're looking for a younger striker to sign, regardless of what happens with Goodmanson and Keane. But the big thing to say about Fiorentina is they are trying to create, and this is good for Italy, and this is good for the Italy national team. They are trying to create an Italian Fiorentina. Yeah. That's been very visible. This is something that Rocco Commisso really, really wants, and we're seeing that this summer. Fazzini from Empoli is pretty much done. Fabian is a target as well. Vitti from Empoli on loan with an option is done. And, you know, when you look at their squad, you know, Ranieri, Comuzzo, Mandragora, Parisi, Keane, Fagioli, Cherundur, and then there's, you know, they've got some kind of youngsters that are quite promising, Fortini, Bianco as well, that coming back. You know, I think that is promising. And I had a little look, and the 92% of the youth team of Fiorentina are Italian, and 80% of them are born in Tuscany.
That's awesome. I love that he's tied it to the community close by. It's actually really smart to do that.
It is. It's good to see. Also because, you know, there's been a lot said since the 3-0 against Norway and the sacking of Spalletti, and even Gattuso said it on his press conference. He said, you know, 32% of Serie A players are Italian. So 68%, almost 70% are foreign. We just have to realise that this is a big problem for Italian football and for our national team. Of course it is. That's obvious. But this also goes into the Primavera, into the youth football. A lot of foreign players are playing in the youth team. So to see that Fiorentina, you know, have such a large number of Italians, and they're doing well. On Tuesday, tomorrow, Fiorentina are playing Inter in the final of the under-15 Scudetto, and their entire team is Italian. Yeah. So, you know, I guess it's good. It's good to see. It's brave, and it's kind of the kind of bravery that we want to see that you know, more Italian teams need to do if we're going to come out of this hole that we're in. So
100%.
Let's hope it's a success.
Yeah, and also, you know, we should I want to commend Commisso and Fiorentina for going down this route. And I also think that appointing Pioli to be the coach, who is someone who is very popular in Florence after his last tenure, is a very smart move as well. I think this will calm things down a little bit. It's been very turbulent in Florence for the last couple of years, and I think Pioli coming in calms things down a bit. And also this mercato that they're doing is very promising. I hope they keep all their players, and I hope that they continue to, you know, that Pioli can win them that Conference League that keeps eluding them all the time. You know, it would be brilliant if he could do that. Yeah, and bring that trophy to Florence, which they so desperately need and deserve. And it's, you know, I just, you know, I really think we should commend Commisso and Fiorentina for going the Italian route.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's finish off with Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. Baggio, I've got Yildiz for his stunning performance against Casablanca, and that especially that goal for the second goal, that half volley into the top corner. Although Lautaro also, we should give a shout out to Lautaro, who also scored a fantastic goal.
Yeah, I want to give it to Valentin Carboni for returning. You know, coming back from an ACL at that young age is difficult. It's mentally exhausting to just do rehab for as long as it takes, and, you know, not be able to play. It takes toll on you mentally. And for him to come back and to not be rushed and to continue working and slowly getting himself into fitness and then scoring that goal, I thought it was a beautiful moment. So, for me, it's him and what he did coming back from a serious injury.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Premface of the week, and I just need to find it. I got sent it this morning. So here we go. Sent from my friend Dante, who you know. So, right. So this is Weston McKennie. This isn't his first offence on this issue. He's spoken before about how he believes American food is better than Italian food. So this is his. This is what he said, McKennie, about why he doesn't like or what his problem is with Italian food. Right. I'm just going to translate.
Enough ranch dressing on the pizzas or what?
Okay, let me read it out to you. So let me translate it. So the problem with Italian food is that there is no variety. It is all pasta, pizza, fish, meat. And for this reason, I prefer American food.
But what is them? Wait, I don't understand that. What does that mean? What do they eat in America then? If it's not fish, if it's not meat, what does he mean?
I don't know. Maybe the variety in America is that they put ranch.
I don't understand what he means. What do you mean variety? Like, what does he think a hamburger is? I mean, it's literally beef. Like, what does he mean? I don't understand what that means.
I don't know. He probably likes all the cancer-causing additives and genetically modified food. He probably loves that.
Variety. I don't understand what that means. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I mean, but he's also the guy. I mean, that video.
Never listen to Americans about food. That's
you can.
That's what I say. How many? Well,
you can. Don't put ranch sauce. Someone who puts ranch on sauce on their pizza and starts. I'm sorry.
The American diet is the worst diet in the world. It's criminal. The American diet. Do you know how many? Do you know what's the percentage of obesity in America? It's like over 50%.
Because of the sugars and additives they put in everything.
The stuff that they put
like in Britain as well, isn't it? Like they put the amount of like sugar that is in British food.
It's not good, but America takes it to a completely new level. That some of the food that's on the shelves in supermarket shelves in America, they wouldn't even in England. They just wouldn't be allowed in England, and that's England. Let alone countries that in Italy where they actually have fresh food. Believe that. Remember that fresh food, fresh produce. Oh, good. So that's Weston McKennie, Premface of the week. Serie ASS of the week. The referee for Italy, Germany.
I think both even. I think we covered it in the beginning of this marketing and the TV rights and everything of that. It's just a continuous own goal that never stops.
And I can't remember. Did we have Premface of the week last week on the quotes from De Siervo? Did we have that on?
No, we didn't. But that is a doozy.
So De Siervo basically blamed piracy for Italy not producing enough talent.
De Siervo is an idiot. If he believes that, then he's an idiot. Piracy has nothing to do with this. Everyone understands that piracy costs money. Yes, it costs the revenue. But Italy not
producing. That's the same in every country.
Exactly.
It's the same in England.
Exactly. And they still managed to. I mean, Spain managed to produce it. Germany managed to. France managed to. What are you talking about? Stop talking shit. Like there's no correlation. And it's just again, they don't. They're clueless. They're completely clueless. And he is clueless. If he believes that, he really is stupid. If he really believes that, then he really is stupid. Don't
hold your breath.
Yeah, well, less said about that, the better, I suppose.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Okay, so we will be back again later this week for another show, which we're still formalising exactly what that show will be, whether it will be a Q&A or whether it will be like an interview, a transfer guest. It will be one or the other this week, but we will have something for you later in the week. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We will see you later on in the week. Ciao, ciao.